All right. So, this video, I am going to talk about this movie, Parasite. And I see it as a complete masterpiece of a movie, and I was compelled to at least speak on it. And there probably will be more than likely, there's going to be spoilers. I'm going to be talking about the movie in depth. So, if you haven't seen the movie, maybe you don't want to watch this video right now. So I don't spoil anything for you. But even if you do watch the video, at least you get to hear my feedback and what I got to say about this movie. First off, I don't even remember the last time I even bought a movie because it's been that long. I like to save money the best that I can, so I don't spend much money on movies at all. So for me to buy this movie, and it's here in my hand right now, it shows a lot. And I don't go to the theaters much because most movies just don't appeal to me. Like there's always something wrong, it just doesn't feel like it's educating me, helping me become a better person or whatnot. It's just like kind of pointless entertainment. So I don't want to like waste money on things of which I don't feel is going to help me grow spiritually, intellectually, whatnot. So I don't really go to the theaters. I don't buy movies, but I have a Netflix account, that I got for free with my cell phone. So, my wife's got Amazon Prime, so we got that. We got HBO Go. So sometimes we just seek on movies on there, look for some movies on there to watch. And then also I got this, this library card where they pretty much let you rent whatever you want. And they have like a lot of new movies and things like that too. So it's great for that respect. But sometimes for a movie like this, because it was so popular, I think they had like 50 copies and it was all checked out. And then there was like a waiting list, like over 88 people were waiting for just one of them. And then more. So probably like over 100, 200 people were waiting for the movie. So I'm like, I'm not going to wait for the movie. So I wanted to watch the movie. So I ended up, the way I found out about the movie was that I found out that it won the awards from the Oscars. And being a foreign film to win that award, I think is a huge thing. I think it's never happened before in the history of the Oscars. And I think it's been around for almost 100 years. So that's how I found out about the movie. And then I'm like, well, if this movie wins an Oscar, not just one Oscar, but I think it won 4 of them, I'm like, there's got to be something about this movie that's special. So then I go on Amazon and I type in, Parasite. And then I read about some of the reviews of what the people are saying. And it's like really good things in what they're saying. Some people are saying that they couldn't stop thinking about the movie and how amazing the movie was. And it's a masterpiece and everything. So I go ahead and just buy the movie and I'll watch the movie. And I'll tell you, it lives up to all the hype. It's absolutely an amazing movie. It is a masterpiece. And something like this doesn't come by often. And, maybe not even once every 10 years that somebody would make a movie like this. So the way that I would say that this movie is like, it's kind of like putting all these teachings of like Eastern philosophy or just like the Tao Te Ching or something. It's just putting it all in a movie format to be able to educate you through like visuals, because not everybody learns the best through reading. Some people learn very well from watching. And the problem is that there's not enough quality movies out there that truly seek to educate. So there's a lot of like, just kind of pointless movies out there that don't really seek to really get people to think and evaluate their lives in which to how they think about themselves, how they think about other people. But this movie does that, and I would say that this movie is something where you need to be pretty intelligent to understand. Like you have to go through a lot of life experiences to come to the point where you could understand this movie more deeply, in which to um, give some reflections into self-evaluations on yourself and the way that you see the other people. And it can be a life transforming movie in that respect. um, Another thing, this movie is in Korean, so you have to read the subtitles. The whole movie's in Korean, so you got to read the subtitles, and you're just pretty much glued to the screen the whole time, watching to see, every single scene has a purpose behind it. Like there's a meaning, there's a symbol behind like every single scene. This movie, it's kind of how movies I see should be, and I'm really thankful that it did get the praise and the admiration from the people, and it won the awards, because it shows that that true art is valued, and this is the time. It's like almost like the time for that to happen. This is like just true acting and directing and just perfecting that art and gaining recognition over it, and being valued for that hard work. And it gives a lot of hope as far as like true martial arts or true artists out there that really love what they do, and they do what they do with passion and with meaning, and then they get compensated for their hard work. This movie, there's a lot of like technology nowadays with CGI and um, all these explosions happening and all these action scenes, but this movie's not about that. It's just about like dealing with life struggles. It's showing the flaws of capitalism, of the different like structures of society. There's the poor, there's a middle class, and then there's the upper class. So the movie is basically going through those different class struggles, and it's very, very deep. So basically, I'm not gonna butcher all these people's names because I don't even know how to pronounce most of them. But basically, it's dealing with two families at first. So first is dealing with the Park family, which is considered like the poor family. There's four people. There's a father, mother, and then there's the father's son, and then the daughter. And then there's the rich family, which is the Park family. Same thing, four people. There's the father, the mother, daughter, and the son. All right, so basically the poor family is going to try to infiltrate into the rich family and start working for this rich family. But basically, they don't know that the rich people don't know that these people are poor. So they're pretending as if they're qualified professionals, like just just basically pretending by drafting up like a fake college certificate, college degree to get the job in there. So it starts off with the son. His name's Kevin. He goes in there, and then he ends up becoming like a tutor to the rich family's daughter, which I forgot her name. But he's being a tutor for her, and then he finds a way to get his other family members to become workers for that rich family. And then you see the differences in how they're living, and it's kind of like they're living the Kim family is living like almost underground. So they're pretty much like living like in a garden apartment, and they could see a little light. They could see like it's like a half window, and they're living underground. So that's representing like the middle class, where you can see a little light, you got a little hope, but then you're still underground. Now they could get sucked further where there's no light and there's no window. That's like pretty much like the people in prison, that just get sucked underground. You get no light source, and it's just, so that's even lower than the mid ground. So you got this poor family that's trying to dig their way out of this middle class to get to the upper class. Then you got the Park family. They got this huge mansion, and they're paying for like a driver. They're paying for a tutor. They're paying for a maid. They're paying, they're paying for all these different things, and they have all these things. They got like a Mercedes. They got a Land Rover. They got, all this food everywhere. And like, then you see the dynamic, like how the Park family, or like the Kim family, goes into the Park residence, and then they see this luxury, and they're just like, they're amazed by it. They love it. They want that, so basically they work so hard to try to get in there. And then eventually the mother, the father, the sister, and Kevin, the whole Kim family, found a way to get into the Park family residence to start working for them. But then there's a twist to the movie where it ends up happening that there's like this maid that lived in the residence, before the Park family even moved in there. And she knew about this underground bunker that even the owners of the house didn't know about. But this bunker was in existence, from the prior owner, and only the maid knew about the bunker. So basically, she put her husband in that bunker because there was like debt collectors going after him, and he was living in that bunker for about 4 years. And she would go down there and give him food every so often to keep him alive. But she got terminated from her job, so they got rid of her, and then they replaced her with the mother of the Kim family. They pretty much found a way to get her out, by setting her up and claiming that she had some disease that she didn't. And then they replaced her. So she ends up coming back to visit when the Park family's out on vacation. And then the revelation comes through. She comes in and she's like, "Oh, I got to get something from the basement." This is the old, maid. She goes down there, and then the Park family follows her down there, or not the Park, the Kim family follows her down there. And then she's like feeding her husband the food, and then begging for the Kim family to help her, to say, "Hey, we're all in the same boat. We're all needy. So we're both needy. Can you help me? Can you take this money and feed my husband every week or so, and not tell anybody, not tell the Park family or anything like that?" So then you got the Kim woman, the mother of the Kim family, basically saying, "No, I'm going to call the police and whatnot." And, this is, "I'm not a needy person. I'm going to call the police and I'm going to get you in trouble," and all this other stuff. So then the Park family, not the Park family, the Kim family, they ended up like getting exposed because they slip and fall, and everybody's tumbling down. And then the maid, the former maid, is videotaping this whole thing going on. So then basically you got the whole family sprawled out right there, the whole Kim family sprawled out, and she has this video recording to show that these people are fraudulent. They're all coming from the same family. They all infiltrated their way into the Park family. So she had that video evidence, and she was using that as a threat to say, "I'm going to send it over. I'm gonna send the video over to the Park family and expose you guys," and all this other stuff. So then there's this beef going on between the husband and the former maid, and then the whole entire Kim family, and they're just beefing. So they're fighting. So there's basically like the class struggle between like the middle class and the low class, just fighting over like moving up the ladder. So that's basically what the movie's about, is showing how Like there's this, it's like a ladder, and everybody's fighting to try to get on top of the ladder. And there's a position that you're in, and everybody in this world, no matter who you are, you're in one of those positions. You know, you're either rich, or you're middle class, or you're poor, or you're even lower than the poor. So it's like you're somewhere along that ladder, and capitalism is designed to influence you and motivate you and encourage you to keep going higher up on that ladder. And in this movie, it's showing like how the Kim family, how hard they're trying to get up on that ladder, and the things that they do to get higher up, like how what they're willing to do to get there, what they're willing to sacrifice, who they're willing to step over, what type of laws they're willing to break, you know, like how immoral are they willing to be, um, what they're willing to do to get up to the next level. And it's, there's no working together. You know, I mean, there's only working together amongst the family. So only the middle class family, the Kim family, is looking out for each other. The Park family, only they're looking out for each other. And then those two, the husband and wife, only they're looking out for each other. But within different families, there's nobody working in unison, and that creates a lot of conflict. So then there's the Kim family fighting with the old maid and the husband to try to maintain their status of control. And it's it's a very profound movie because it is just making you think like, okay, where am I in this ladder? You know, and will I work towards moving up in the ladder with conscious effort? And what am I willing to do to get to the next level? Where are my boundaries? Like, where am I going to stop? What, you know, what am I willing to do and what am I not willing to do to get higher up in that ladder? Or it's like, okay, I know I'm here in that ladder, but should I just stay here and chill here? Or should I even attempt to go higher up? Is there even a point of trying to go higher up? Or should I just be content where I'm at, just stay where I'm at? Or am I going to kind of go further down the ladder and just lose all hope and just kind of like, you know, just kind of waste your life away, you know, without any effort whatsoever? You lose that motivation. So it's just kind of like we talking about in terms of building wealth. It's like, do I really want to keep working hard to become rich and to become wealthy one day? Or should I just stay where I'm at and accept where I'm at and just be happy where I'm at and content where I'm at? Or am I going to be self-destructive and just go further down, you know, down into the ground? So it's a very, very deep movie. There are some parts where it is funny. So there are funny parts to the movie, which kind of like lightens up the seriousness of the movie. And um, it's just really well made. You know, there's a part where beginning in the movie where the Kim person, the father of the Kim family, you know, he sees like a bug, like a parasite, whatever, on the kitchen table, and he just flicks it, you know, because, you know, you see this insect and you just want to get rid of it. And to me, that symbol of that moment in the movie is symbolizing like how the rich people view his family. Like they're just parasites. Like they're not human. They're not important, and they're replaceable, and like they could just be exterminated. And life will move on as if nothing happened. And that's how the rich people would view the poor Kim family, just like the Kim family would view the parasites. We need to get rid of them. Or like those insects, we got to get rid of them. Let's exterminate them out. And then even the Kim family, when they rose up and they got into that position, those jobs in the Park family's home, and they took over the home pretty much, they looked at the former housemaid and her husband in that same way, as if they are parasites. So they also looked at somebody, they looked at themselves as above other people, and they started to mistreat those other people. So everybody in that spectrum, like for the most part, were mistreating somebody. Maybe with an exception to the former maid and her husband, it didn't show any scenes where they were really mistreating people without reason. But as soon as they started to develop that conflict between them and the Kim family, then they started to fight back with force, and then struggle and have, result in violent behavior in order to attempt to overtake the Kim family. So that's the dilemma right there. When you see, and it's the same, it goes back to the dilemma of like rank in martial arts, for example, like white belt, yellow belt, brown belt, black belt. There's these ranks, and if your mind thinks in the same way, where there's these different classes, there's this class struggle: high class, middle class, low class, and then even below the low class. If your mind thinks in those in that class structure, then it's almost like you're bound. If you acknowledge something as above you, then you're going to automatically acknowledge that there's something below you. And then it's all about, okay, how am I going to treat the people above me, and how am I going to treat the people below me? And based on how you decide to treat people, like that signifies like who you are inside, and the integrity that you have. But if you're the type of person that's very willing to step over people to get higher up, you can't really expect other people to not do that to you. And that's where there's this dilemma going on, where it's like, if I don't hoard my money and I give it away to the people that need it, then how are you going to move up in the class structure? Because you gave away all your money to the people that need it. You don't have any money left for yourself to move up further up. And then the people that are rich, it's the same thing. They're like, we want to maintain our status of being rich. So why are we going to give the money to the middle class or the poor? Because we want to maintain our level of class. So then you have poor people that don't have any money to give. Then you have middle class people that don't want to give to the poor people because they want to keep their money so they can maintain themselves in the middle class. And then you got the rich people that don't want to give money to the middle class people or the poor people because they want to maintain their level of where they're at. So then you got everybody in the whole structure, from the rich, the middle class, and the poor, that neither want to give to anybody because they want to maintain where they're at, or they want to move even higher. So the movie is showing like, okay, this is the problem with capitalism, but it's not giving any solutions whatsoever. And it puts the pressure on you to decide for yourself, like, what is the solution to this? It's this system that we're born into, this capitalistic system. And then it's like, okay, like, can it even be possible for me to rise up into to the, you know, higher up on this system? Like, what is the possibility of me rising up? Is it worth my effort to even try to rise up with all the stress involved, all the headaches, all the energy, the time, the effort? You know, it goes very deep, you know, and sometimes like the movies signifying like when you have false hope, it could lead to destruction. And that's pretty much what happened with the Kim family. They had these false hopes that they could get into the high class, and then their ambition, their greed towards striving towards that ultimately ended in a very bad way. Whereas if you are poor and you know that, hey, you know, I'm not moving out from this. This is just what my life is. Then, like, you could find a way to find happiness in that state, and that's what I think a lot of the spiritual training comes in, from the Buddha, from the Tao. Buddha's always talking about like having no desires and no attachments. So the teachings of Buddha is almost designed, and even the teachings of Tao is almost designed to teach the poor to find happiness within their lives. You know, and if you have a million poor people, it's going to be a lot easier to teach them how to find contentment within their life situation than it is going to be to try to teach them to rise above, to get out of that poverty through effort, to try to rise up out of that and to reach the next class. But in that doing, even if they do rise up above the poverty and get to the middle class, there's got to be there's going to be people that replace them, and then it's just a switch. So it's like a poor person rises up to become middle class, and then the middle class comes down to become poor. It's just a switching of positions. There's no there's no ending to poverty. Like, there's always gonna be poverty, you know. And as the people are trying to rise up out of poverty, they might be considered middle class, but as they're trying to do that, then they're pushing others down to become a part of what they used to be. So as you're rising up, automatically you're pushing some people down. And if you're the type of person that does not like to push people down, then you're like, well, then I'm just going to stay where I'm at, you know, because I don't want to step over people, because that's not right. And you basically refuse to put yourself in that position. So it's similar to me and how I feel when it comes to combat sport fighting. It's like, I know that I could do well if I got into that. But then the thought of me having to beat people down, it doesn't sit well with me. So it's like when you're in that ring, you're like, okay, either I beat him down or he beats me down. You know, there's no other way, because that's what the ring is designed. Like, somebody has to knock somebody out. And that's pretty much that class struggle. It's like, if you're low class, you want to try to beat the middle class to put them low below you so you could rise up to that position. And then you're middle class, you want to get to the high class, so you got to beat somebody in the high class to get to that position and put them down below. So it's like, that's what capitalism is. It's like that competition where you have to like beat somebody up in order to rise above them. And then the way that I am is like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to hurt somebody in order to rise above them. So that's why I don't get involved in that. But if you look at it from just life and what type of work that you choose to do, like what decisions do you make in order to get wealth, to get rich? Like what are you willing to do? You know, and if you're not willing to do all that it takes, then it's just going to take you a lot longer to get to where you want to go, because you have limitations of what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. So it's just going to take you a lot longer. You know, so even when it comes to expressing the art, you know, or being yourself or not being yourself, because a lot of people talking about, you know, sellouts and things like that, people that sell out. Like, are you willing to be a sellout to get to where you want to go, or are you not willing to be a sellout and you want to be yourself through the process, and then just to kind of slowly move up? So this movie gets you to analyze a lot of different things. And I even watched the director talking about it. And then I watched a good amount of YouTube videos of people talking about the movie as well, giving their reviews and their feedbacks. So this is a movie where it's going to make you think. You're going to want to watch it more than once. And I'll like literally wake up in the morning and just have a different understanding of certain scenes. And it could just really get you to really evaluate, you know, how you view yourself and where you are in this social class, and evaluate how much effort you want to put, if any, to rise up higher in that social class. Also gets you to evaluate how you treat the people that are lower than you in the social class. You know, if you treat people like trash, who you feel that you're better than, then how do you expect people that are better than you to treat you with respect or with dignity? You know, so like say you beat people up for a living, eventually there's going to come a time where people are going to beat you up for a living. So it's like analyzing, you know, how do I view other people? How do I view myself? How do I view the people that have more money than me, more wealth? You know, so it's a very, very deep movie. And I would go out and say that this is probably my favorite movie of all time. And this, I will say that I'm not going to say that it has nothing to do with martial arts, because there's not action like fighting, sparring, Bruce Lee type of action. But as far as the wisdom, the spirituality, the meditation, the ideas, the intelligence that's in this movie is beyond mostly any single movie that I've ever seen, because it's talking about real life issues, political issues, just world issues that eventually all of us are going to have to sit down and see it for what it is and try to come with a solution. I've watched this movie maybe about 2 times, and maybe it's been about less than a week. And there's a lot of things that I'm thinking about, and I don't have a complete solution, but I do have some thoughts. And what I feel is that what's absolutely important is that you maintain that integrity within yourself, that you treat people with respect, no matter what class they're in, no matter if they're above you or below you. You treat everybody with respect, and you just work your way up through the ladder of success in a gradual way. There's no quick way to rise up onto that ladder of success. Any quick way usually is going to be a fraudulent way, and it's going to come back to you. I also see like this notion of karma where if you do evil things to get ahead, eventually bad things will come back to you. So you might have like temporary pleasure or success, but that's just all going to be taken away eventually, because of karma. If in order to achieve that temporary pleasure or success, you have to sacrifice your soul or your spirit. So, and I also see the way things are structured when it comes to finances and things like that. There's some things where you just have to admit this is just not going to happen, because you were not born in that class, and you're not going to have the same opportunities as what other people might have, simply because you weren't born in that environment to flourish, that aspect of your development. And just being honest, like, yes, you could move up in the ladder of success, but there's only a certain amount that a certain level that you could get to, and that you won't be able to go beyond that. And then also, as you're trying to build up gradually, to continue to live in meditation, to develop yourself spiritually and intellectually, to basically enjoy the journey, rather than being so fixated on the goal. Enjoy the journey as you move forward or move up. Enjoy the journey as much as you see yourself enjoying the end result. So you have to appreciate where you're at, because no matter what, there's always somebody that's going to be worse off than where you're at. So you need to appreciate that, hey, where I'm at, I should be thankful, I should be grateful, what I have and what I've accomplished to this point. You got to be thankful. And you got to be patient. Let time go by. Enjoy every moment, every single breath that you're able to take. Every time you wake up, every single day, enjoy every moment. And just put the effort to move forward, but do it in a very, do it with integrity. Do it with a good heart. Have compassion, for people. Because if you want others to have compassion for you, then you're gonna have compassion. You're gonna have to have compassion for others as well. So those are some of my thoughts, that are sparked by the movie. I didn't want to just repeat the entire movie and what happens, but just more so about what the movie made me to think about, and just open your eyes to certain realities and accepting that this is just how things are. We're born into capitalism. If you're not a part of the government, you really have little control of how they decide to govern the people, and you're given this system, and you have to understand the system and work with the system, and find your sense of contentness within that system. Yes, the system has limitations, as any system does, but I think that, there's proof to show the positives of capitalism and how how much wealth that it generates. And looking at how far America has come, and looking at how other countries wish they were where America is, it shows that the system does work, you know, but at the same time, there are some flaws, and we have to come to terms with those, with the flaws, and for a resolution, or seek for a solution, not necessarily as a governmental change, um, but for a change within our own lives. We have control over how we treat people, and how not only do we treat them, but how we actually view them. Because even in the movie, um, Mr. Park, the wealthy guy, kept talking about how these poor people smell, that they have a different smell to them. And he was saying this in what he thought was in privacy, but not knowing that the Kim family was able to hear everything that he was saying. So it's not just how you present yourself to people when other people are around, but it's also who you are when other people aren't around. Like, how do you view other people? Like, if you put other people on a pedestal and you see them as better than you, then automatically what comes with that is that you also see people below you, way below you, that are not equal to you. And then you got to ask yourself, is that a healthy way to view people? And you got to evaluate that. Not only is it about how you treat people, but it's also how you feel about people, genuinely. Like, are you genuinely a nice person, or are you only being nice to people because you want to get ahead in life? It's very different. you know so there's a lot of self-reflection as far as this class struggle is concerned. And within our own lives, we can take ourselves out of that class struggle within our own lives by pretty much jumping out of the ladder and just letting everybody else fight, while we just relax and sit back and just enjoy this journey of life. And I think that's something that can be very powerful. When you just kind of take yourself out of that, I guess what they call it, the rat race. It's powerful if you could take yourself out of that and just enjoy life. And no matter where you're at in that class, you could find a way to enjoy your life, no matter if you're rich or poor or in the middle class. I can't really speak much about the people in jail, because their freedoms are taken away from them and things like that. And I've never really been to jail for long term or anything like that. So but I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I think that as far as our content is concerned and how we feel, our happiness, our level of happiness, like, we ultimately have control over that at any time. And that is where meditation comes in. But when it comes to building wealth, that doesn't happen in an instant. That is something that requires an immense amount of effort, and usually an immense amount of time. And that's not something that could just change in an instant. But at least with happiness, with inner contentment, and just being a good person, that's something that we essentially could change right away. Like, if we see any defects, if we see something that we could improve upon within ourselves, we can immediately improve that. And the feeling of happiness, and love and compassion, That is something that is extremely valuable, and in a lot of times beyond something that could be measured by anything monetary. So I think that that's the root, that's the foundation. We need to establish that. And if we enter into the rat race or into that ladder, we have to enter it in with an enlightened state of mind, in where we know that it's just a game, when we don't take it too serious. And if others take it too serious, then we just let them be, but we don't engage in that seriousness, because we know that this is not like the truth. This is not what's real. This is not like where true happiness is, and true contentment. But this is just a game, and I've consciously decided to enter into this game out of my own decision. And I could get myself out of this game whenever I want to, at any moment, at any time. When you could approach it in that respect, then it's almost like you could have like the benefits of both worlds. You could enter into this game, or you could take yourself out, but you don't see this game as life, and you don't let the system, the game, the race have control over you. You are in control of the entire situation. You decide if you want to get in there, you decide if you want to get out. And you don't allow it to corrupt who you are and your inner spirit, your spirituality, your personal integrity. All right, so I'm going to end it there because I have to go. This is the movie right here. It's called Parasite, and highly recommend the movie. And just, I'm all about trying to help, people with their spiritual growth when it comes to meditation. This is very important in the martial arts, as you develop in the martial arts. As I always say, it's not always all about fighting and sparring and beating people up, but it's like things like this that you really have to have a deep understanding about. And how you view yourself, how you view the world, how you live, how you treat people, how you feel about people. There's a lot involved. So I felt it very necessary to at least talk about this movie, to maybe let people know about it, so then potentially they might watch it themselves. And then also basically just encourage people to work in those areas of development as far as your spirituality is concerned. This is very important, as you progress in the martial arts. So I want to thank everybody for all your support out there. For the people, I normally turn the comments off and things like that, but mainly to protect from online bullying, towards my children and the students. But for the people that want to help out the school and say something nice, you could log on, to our Google business page. Just go on Google, type in Freddie's Modern Kung Fu, click on reviews, and just leave a nice review and say what you need to say to support the school. It's greatly appreciated, because, every time people look for martial arts school, typically they're going to encounter that business page. And I need as many positive reviews as possible in order to increase the chances of having the school succeed. So I want to thank everybody for all your support out there, and staying tuned, and your positivity. Take care.